Good morning and welcome. Welcome to today's topic talk. And the topic I've chosen to talk about today, which is a very popular topic and something we speak of a lot, and it's in the area of mental health. And mental health, for my way of thinking, is completely and absolutely related to your physical health. The two are intertwined, and therefore we should be acknowledging both whenever we're doing work on either of these areas, because they're so interrelated. And having that good routine in your life, I'm strongly committed to the fact that having a good routine that is working for you or you're enjoying is going to have so many preventative measures, those proactive measures that we've spoken about in regard to physical health. The same applies to your mental state. And to be able to build, the key word in my topic today is resilience. And it's something, a resilience is something that I believe is lacking very much in all of us in this modern day, and even more so you see in younger kids coming through. They are being born into a world of relative privilege, and I'm of course not talking about everybody in Australia, but certainly the majority of Australians are born into relative privilege, and I'm comparing to the rest of the world. We do have a lot on our side, and young kids coming in, there's so much around them for them to grab and use and throw away and have a new thing, that resilience is often is really, I think, a key that we need to be very aware of. I've had a fortunate upbringing in the fact that I've been brought up by people who have been very resilient. And my mum was a classic example. Lived in London in the war as a child and went through all of that. And even on the last day, the day she died and was taken to hospital by my dad, she was wanting to go out shopping again to get the grandkids their presents. Even though she was that sick, she was pushing herself to the limit to do things for other people. And my nana, her mother, similarly, she was born in perhaps, I think it was 1906, so it was only a teenager during the World War I in London, was to be in a miserable place. Then, of course, the Spanish flu, 50 million deaths across the world. And then she lived through World War II with her own young child and in London being bombed and so on. And then came out as a 10-pound pom in the 1950s to Australia, and still such a cheerful, wonderful, upbeat lady, and was that way until her death in her mid-80s. And so you see that resilience, that things people have faced, that we've had a pretty blessed sort of run over the last 70 years, and we've no longer got some of those skills and habits. So at Healthy Glow, we recognise the correlation of being healthy in mind and in body. Now, I think we've got to just get all of our heads around adversity is going to be there for us. We have a good run for a long time, and we sometimes start to expect, the worst thing that happens in our day is we get stuck in the traffic or something like that. And that's terrible, absolutely bad, But of course, if we start to really think that that's the sort of the worst that happens to me and I'm above all of this, then when something does come along, it really throws us into shock. And so we're dealing with an element of shock before we can even start taking action on the problem, because we're just not prepared. So I think we really need to be getting our head around that things are going to come our way. We're going to have shocks, we're going to have problems, and therefore the quicker we get over the shock and we can act on the problem, the better off we're going to be. My example there, of course, was I'd never had a sick day virtually, and had cancer just out of the blue, and had my chemo and so on. And luckily I was able to work right the way through that 3.5 months of treatment and keep my business and move through. And I know that my relatively good health and good routine was a very big factor in my recovery. And I feel that was really held me up well. And I encourage everybody, even when things are good, you just keep on plugging away and keeping a good routine, ready for, not sometimes if something ever happens, but in fact when something happens. You sort of prepare yourself that things are going to hit the fan from time to time, and you want to be ready to go. A couple of things that I've always practiced and I believe in is fake it till you make it. You've heard the saying, fake it till you make it. That's something, if you get out of bed in the morning, you're feeling a bit blue, you're feeling a bit down and so on, Just pretend it's a great day, pretend you're happy, just put a big smile on, bounce out some really happy talk to somebody else, and within minutes, you're actually living into that behavior. So faking it is a really big part of your day, your week. Just putting on a good smile, and it resonates out and it starts to resonate back in. The other thing is to make sure you do have your exercise planned. Even for me this morning, I felt a bit, I thought, oh, do I really need to do my exercise this morning? I did that. It was only 35, 40 minutes worth of my strength training today, and I feel a lot more upbeat after it than I did before it. And I started to feel better within about 2 minutes. Once I'd had a few big gulps of air and I was starting to push and getting ready, getting into it, I immediately felt better within probably 1 or 2 minutes. So the exercise definitely has, it's a chemical reaction. We know it's a proven factor to mental health. And the other thing I always advise people and do for myself is when you're feeling a bit down or, just a bit sad, you reach out and help somebody else. You're always thinking of somebody else that would be in more need of yourself and reaching out to somebody else. And that is a huge lift to the human spirit, to feel as if you're of value to somebody else. You might just be a phone call to somebody, it might be a text message, it could be something so simple to say, hey, how you going? And I find when I'm training people, I love have somebody comes in and says, oh, you've had a bad day and a bit flat and blah, blah. And to spend that next half hour with them and to have them know they're leaving the workout feeling that much happier and inspired and ready to face the world, that makes me, it's a two-way street there, it makes me feel better too. So I really just think that the resilience of our young kids, if you have kids or grandkids, really be aware of making sure that there's not just everything on tap all the time, happy days. I've been in education and taught kids from 5 years old through to 18 years old, and then worked with adults all the way through too. I've seen the full range of ages, and I just see resilience is dropping down, and little tiny things really will throw a kid right off their rails, and that's not a healthy place to be. And the thing that I would emphasize, of course, is that if you ever are in a really bad state of mind, mental health, you must reach out to professional people. There are plenty of services available, and you must move on to that very quickly. But there is so much you can do before that gets to that point to just keep that proactive things in your life, proactive things that you do on a regular basis that can keep you away from that really dark space that we would all like to really try to avoid. So exercise, eat well, good food, reach out, think back to people you've known, and I'm blessed with having known and heard the stories of people that have been through incredibly tough times and come out the other side really still well-balanced, happy, outgoing, lovely, helpful people, laughing and so on, and you think, wow, what they had been through in their lives, how can they be that good? And they're the sort of people, that's what I think heritage is about. It's passing on those types of behaviours that we can recognise in our ancestors, and we can then in turn hopefully pass on further. So keep exercising, keep eating well, and make sure you understand that the correlation of mental and physical health are absolutely all one. They're not separate. You'll have benefits to both by exercising and keeping yourself fit. Until Friday, we'll look forward to seeing you again on Friday morning at 10 o'clock for a workout. Be ready to go there. It'll lift your spirits, not only your heart and lung rate, but your spirits too. Okay, until then, thanks for your company and see you on Friday. Bye for now.